In an intense showdown on Capitol Hill this week, National Public Radio, NPR, found itself under fire as its CEO, Katherine Maher, testified before the DOGE Subcommittee of the U.S. House Oversight Committee. And let's just say, it did not go well for her. Maher, who has led NPR for years, found herself caught up in a web of past Twitter posts. Yes, those very same social media rants she made when Twitter was still, well, Twitter. Some of her old takes didn't sit well with lawmakers, and they made sure she knew it. When confronted with these posts, Maher's responses were telling. Some she couldn't even recall, while others she brushed off, saying, "I've changed my views since then." In particular, when a few eyebrow-raising comments about NPR's past coverage came up, she played the "I wasn't CEO then" card. A nice dodge, sure, but it didn't really address the bigger problem at hand, NPR's evident bias. Now, let's be clear, NPR's bias isn't some minor, left-leaning tilt. No, NPR is widely seen as hard left, and that's not just a casual observation. It's an objective fact. If you look at the staff composition at NPR, you'd be hard-pressed to find even 5% of employees who support President Trump, if any. So, what does that tell us? NPR, many argue, has become more of an ideological machine than a neutral news outlet, pushing a particular agenda rather than presenting news in an unbiased way. But hold on, some NPR supporters might say, NPR gets less than 1% of its budget from the federal government. That's true, but that's not the whole story. Much of NPR's funding comes indirectly from taxpayer dollars. How? Well, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which itself relies heavily on federal funds, sends money to NPR's member stations, who in turn fund NPR programming. So, even if it's not a direct deposit from Uncle Sam's pocket, it's still public money making its way to NPR. In addition to the taxpayer dollars, NPR also relies on membership funding, yes, the money sent in by loyal listeners. Corporate sponsorships are another significant part of the budget. And that's fine, everyone has to fund their operations somehow. But here's the kicker. Should NPR, a publicly funded organization, continue receiving federal support, especially given the mounting national debt of $36 trillion? Some argue it's time to cut the cord. If NPR can't make it on its own in the marketplace, perhaps it should fade into the background, like any other media outlet. But here's the problem, NPR isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Despite growing frustration among taxpayers, especially those who feel they're funding a left-wing hobby, NPR still has a lot of support. The challenge now is whether the growing sense of political division in America will finally force NPR to take a hard look at its role in shaping the public discourse. So, what do you think? Should taxpayers continue funding NPR, or has it become too ideological to justify federal support? Let us know where you stand, because this debate is far from over.